Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for coming. We're going to keep this a fairly short presentation for today, just to kind of keep things rolling and learn about the virtual format and everything. So we're going to do some quick introductions, and then I'm going to hand it over to Cody. He's going to talk about lead scoring and lead assignment and other cool things. If we've got time at the end, we can do some Q&A. We don't have a hard stop here, so if a couple of you want to hang out and kind of virtual coffee it, by all means, let's do that at the end. So first up is introductions. Why don't we go around the horn here? Let me see if I can get my video grid to come back. So I think I know everyone on this call, but I'm Jim Gordon. I work at Cloud Notions. We're the local Columbus, Georgia Salesforce.com partner. Work with several of you here in town, and also a whole bunch of clients remotely. So that's me and my job and where I work. As a result of this virus outbreak, actually not a lot has changed for us. Some of our clients are like way different. Like one of our retail clients actually paused operations, 90% of their operations. We've got other clients, like they're in the healthcare space. They're actually like roaring, right now. And we've got everything in between. So I think that would be a good introduction. Why don't we go around the table here and just say who you are, where you work for, how you're being impacted by this whole lock-in thing, and anything else you feel like the community needs, but just try to keep it brief. Maybe Ian, you could go first.
Okay.
Ian, are you still muted? I think you are. Okay,
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I got these AirPods. Sometimes the microphone doesn't trigger on them. So, yeah, my name's Ian Fogelman. I work here in Columbus, and I work remotely also with a consulting company called Central Consulting Group. They're based in Minneapolis. So a lot of stuff is the same what you're saying, Jim. So far, not much has changed. Of course, I'm fairly new to the company, so I don't know the full spec of what's normal and what's not normal. But everybody says they haven't really seen a shift in business yet in terms of what they're consulting on. So it's mainly an architectural ERP system that they consult with, and that's kind of the area of specialties. But some of my personal interests are AWS custom development and I guess the consulting business model for that, and just interested in user groups and stuff like that too.
Awesome. The next box on my screen here is Dawn, who is muted. Dawn, do you want to do a quick intro?
Sure, I'll echo Tricia. I've been working from home, really no change for me, but I also have gotten used to not wearing makeup. So yeah. I guess the biggest impact with us is a little bit more business as far as our company is concerned, which is a good thing, but a bad thing.
Oh, because you guys are a remote meeting tool. So yeah, that makes sense.
And my daughter is graduating high school this year / not really hashtag, put your senior portrait on Facebook. But basically that's about it.
Okay. Addison, you're the next box on my screen here. Do you want to go?
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Addison. I work in Columbus, Georgia at Omega Phi with Caitlin, who's also on. Omega Phi does payment processing, data management for nonprofit organizations, specifically fraternities and sororities. We're non-technical Salesforce users.
No worries. How's
our hobbies include selling software that other people know how it works.
Sure. How's the pandemic affecting you guys, if anything?
At this point, it's hard to tell. We're about to enter our slowest time seasonally anyway. And so we're trying to determine if it's slower than the usual slow or just the usual slow.
Sure.
issues with existing clients and retention are, probably always an issue, and maybe more so now. But for sales, we're still investigating whether or not it's changed.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, next box is Fred. Fred, do you want to do a quick intro? Fred, are you muted? Oh, all right. Well, we lost Fred. Alan, you're up.
Hey guys, I think I know most of y'all, but I am based in Atlanta, sometimes co-sponsor of the meeting with Jim and some of the other folks there. Partner up with a lot of clients with Jim, also do consulting around Salesforce, but increasingly doing a lot more on the HubSpot side. And that's been unusually active in the last couple of months for some reason. Had a lot of new HubSpot clients coming on board, but things are going pretty well. I've been, I think Jim and I are both pretty used to working from home at this point, so we kind of had a head start on the quarantine side of the house. But good to see a lot of the familiar names and faces. So glad y'all could join us today.
Yeah, Cindy, do you want to go?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Cindy Reynolds. I am in Columbus, Georgia, and working remotely from home, employed with TSYS. And the job itself is going well. I mean, no disruptions for administrative services that I'm providing. The company itself, though, however, is going through some changes since we, excuse me, have recently merged with Global Payments. So that unto itself is quite interesting. So a lot of churn going on.
Yeah, but you guys, TSYS also has some impact, secondhand or third hand from the retail market, right? If the retail folks are swiping cards less, then your overall transaction volume is down as well, right?
That is right. I am not part of that division. I'm in the issuing side of the house, which really deals more to B2B with our banks. So, I haven't been real intimately involved with a lot of the transaction side.
Good to know. Trisha, do you want to go next?
Sure. Trisha Mobley. I was previously the Salesforce application owner for Synovus, but still looking for my next opportunity. Still looking in the Salesforce umbrella. But yeah, just anxious to see what we have to see today.
Okay. All right. Caitlin, you're up.
Hey, Jim. Yeah, it's Caitlin Hanna here. Like Addison mentioned, we work together at OmegaFi. I'm the new sales manager there, so interested in learning more today about how other folks are handling leads and all of that fun stuff. And yeah, getting used to working remotely now. So it's been an adjustment, but getting stuff done.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Looks like we've got Raju. I might be saying that right. Would you like to do an introduction?
Yes. Hi, guys. Sorry, I know I joined this group from when I see the invitation from community, Trailblazer community. I joined from UK. I'm not sure that I could join the sessions from across the world, but please excuse me. But you can be open to say that this is especially for certain few people living or working in one place. But just to give a background, I am a Salesforce consultant. I've been working in Salesforce last 3 years. But into IT industry, working in different domains of IT, mainly technical technical sort of software for 17 years. I was very curious about Salesforce from last 3 years, spending a lot of time understanding, reading through, doing a lot of certifications. I want to be a master of everything in Salesforce, basically. So I know it's very difficult. So whenever I have opportunity, I try to learn bits and pieces from the Salesforce. You name it, from Sales Cloud to Marketing Cloud, the whole Customer 360, Sales Service, CPQ, FLS, you name any product from Salesforce, I would like to have understanding on that and have some hands-on as well.
Well, good.
So at some point in 2 years' time or a year time, I want to be a technical architect, basically.
Awesome. Well, good. It's we're the Columbus, Georgia user group, so we're a smaller town, smaller city than some others. But it's good that we have attracted talent all the way from the UK. So, did I miss anybody else on the intros really quick before we shift gears and talk about Cody and get started? Awesome. Okay, so Cody is our speaker for today. I'm going to let him introduce himself, but I'm going to introduce one sort of major change or aspect of Cody that I would like to highlight, and that is he has volunteered to be our new group co-leader. Yay! So Cody, obviously has been one of the mainstays at our user group anyway, so I'm super looking forward to his contributions. I'm still going to stay on and help. I do believe that many hands make light work. So I've stolen enough of his time. Cody, take it away.
Thanks, Jim, James. I always see your email, James, and then Jim. So
do you want to share? Actually, do you want to be the screen sharer, or do you?
Yeah, you want me to take over screen share? I think that'd be great.
Yeah. Somehow I can stop presenting. If I can figure it out. There we go. How's that?
That looks like it's coming. Screen 2, here we go. Let me know if you guys can see that.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So guys, about me, most of you who have attended the meetings on site over the past few years have met me in person. I am the director of IT with PGI. I handle the CRM operations and technology group, which basically oversees any kind of CRM system from Salesforce to ServiceNow and other CRM systems, with a primary goal to move all of it into Salesforce. It's what we try to do here. So about me, I am the proud father of 3 little boys. I have a lot of fun. They're all 6 and under, so it is always entertaining at my house. I am 7-time certified on the Salesforce system, so I echo the gentleman from the UK, love learning new things about Salesforce. I drink the Kool-Aid, so enjoy that. I've been in the communication industry for 20 years now, so that's crazy to seem that way. I feel sometimes I'm still only 18 coming out of high school, but have been in this industry for a while now, have been around a few different of the top giants in this industry, working for them and having a lot of fun building out and supporting Salesforce. And over the past decade, that's what I have been doing. I have been in a Salesforce role of either an admin, a project manager, a marketing analyst, a manager, and now a director. So I've had a lot of different positions that have allowed me to kind of dive into Salesforce from all different aspects, and I think that's one of the things I enjoyed the most. I have spoken at Dreamforce 4 times, and I've spoken at the Atlanta World Tour twice. So I like putting that on there because those were all amazing opportunities that I got invited to from Salesforce, and I think it's a lot of fun. And if any of you ever get the chance, you should definitely try to do that. It's a whole different world, and entering in the kind of the partner realm / speaker realm with Salesforce when it comes to their events versus attending as a customer. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about lead scoring and lead assignments. So one of the things that Jim and I were talking about when we reached out and talked about turning into our first virtual meeting was, what are some of the topics that people may find interesting right now? And some of those were leads, right? Either the COVID pandemic is impacting your company in a negative way, and you're looking to source new leads, or you're looking to find out how you can tackle those leads in a better way, or like my industry, it is booming right now due to COVID. We're getting so much business, it's hard to keep up with, honestly. And so we've had to revisit, how are we, working the leads at the right time? Is it the right lead to work? What is the scoring attributes that we're putting into it, and how can we quickly engage the actual rules themselves so that they can change to meet how the business is changing, right? COVID came at us so fast. It's one of the big things was, okay, well, how do we quickly change our scoring so that we know all of these leads coming in are either worth pursuing or some of them are not worth pursuing, being able to quickly change those. So working the right lead at the right time was the topic we kind of landed on. And we've had a lot of fun with that here at PGI. I'll say fun. Over the past really 3 months, and even longer than that, we were working last year, at the end of last year, to kind of revamp some of our scoring metrics as we introduced Salesforce Marketing Cloud and rolled that enterprise-wide. So it was something we were already in the process of, and we've been playing with some tools, and I thought it'd be great to maybe share some of those tools with you guys and talk about what we've been using, and maybe this will help you guys to look at other areas or other avenues that you may want to go down. So talk about lead scoring. Let's talk about that first. Lead scoring kind of, it does have to be set by your business users, whether that's marketing and sales enablement. It's what makes a lead important to your organization, right? And that's a constant question that needs readdressing all the time, right? As your company changes, as the economy changes. But the biggest thing that we've learned over the past, year, and especially the past 4 months, is that we have to have a multi-scoring model. And really, those are kind of broken out into two things: demographic based and behavioral based, right? For us, demographic is scoring that represents our interest. Who is our sweet spot customer that we know we can sell into to try to sell our services? Whereas behavioral are resources that are coming to us. They're interested in us, right? Maybe it's a smaller company than we would typically market. Maybe it's a very large company that we typically would not go after. You have those two kind of different areas when it comes to scoring that we kind of hone in on. And the ideas to consider there are, for instance, like your source, right? You have a click ad out there and someone clicks a click ad. That's a different type of a lead than a person who's actually going to go to your website. And a person who goes to your website is a different type of lead than someone who's actually going to download content. You could consider each one of those as a behavioral score, right? And so clicking an ad, downloading a content, a website visit, each one of those increases a behavioral score for that lead because they're showing an interest in you and your products and services. Whereas the other hand of that is the firmographic attributes about them. What is their industry? What is their revenue range? What is their employee size? What is their locale? All of that's going to be demographic based. You should already have a business model to know who your sweet target spot is for a customer or prospect. And for us, we're a B2B, so we kind of already know that. We've already got that defined. That's a business process. And so we can say, okay, if you're in the industry size, or if you're in this industry with a revenue range of, 1 to 5 million, or a company size less than 10,000 employees, that can be identified as a higher score for us. And then always don't forget your existing customers. So anybody who may come to your website, let's say if Jim were a customer of ours and he's telling his coworker Alan, and Alan comes to the website, we don't want to just ignore Alan because Alan's an existing customer. We want to be able to use that to try to see if there's any chance for an upsell or add-on, right? So that's going to be an important factor too. So how did we do that, right? How did we dive into that? For us, the first thing we wanted to look at was scoring our leads. A quick way to do this, but more so a quick way to score our leads was giving the power to the business users. So Caitlin and Addison, for example, on the phone earlier, you mentioned you're not technical, you're the sales manager, you're selling the tool to other people who are technical. Our business users are the same way. They're not technical, but they know their rules. They know that if a company comes in and the employee is greater than 23, they want that to have a higher score than if the employee size is less than 23. So I imagine same thing with you as a sales manager. You know that you can sell to a sorority or a fraternity if they have a certain size, a membership size, right? One of the tools that we were able to find out on the AppExchange, and it's a free tool, it's called Lead Scoring. It's got a good rating. It's a 4.0 rating, works in Classic and Lightning. It's from Salesforce Labs. And the great thing about this, and the screenshot I'm showing you, is that you do not have to be an administrator to create these rules. Your administrator has to install the package, but once it's installed, a business user, a sales manager or your marketing manager can actually create the rules themselves. And it is a click configuration rule. So you're able to say, give it a name, a unique name, give it a rule type, and it can work either on the lead or the campaign membership, which is pretty nice. The lead is who they are, and the campaign membership is what they do, right? If you send them a campaign, have they responded? And then you're able to identify the field and then the value. It's much like kind of creating a report, right? When you create report criterias and you can put in the field the operator and then the value of the outcome, and that's how it can create rules. So you can easily turn those on and off for scoring. So the example I have here for you is a screenshot of just some standard, rules that we've looked at, and these can go, to any extent. It's, again, depending on how big your business is, wanting to define some of those rules and scoring. But I gave the examples of, like, if it's greater than 23, we give it 5 points. If the annual revenue is greater than 10 million, we give it 50 points. If they are a campaign member and they responded, they get 4 points, right? But you could base that off of the rule type of a certain campaign. Maybe you have different campaigns. So one campaign has a different value associated with it than a different campaign. So those are some ideas there around lead scoring. So we found this to be a really nice tool to be able to install, quickly set up, quickly modify the rules. Again, being able to just engage on the fly. Okay. Next thing that we use, because we're integrated with our Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and I imagine you can do this with other tools. I know Alan's a big HubSpot guy. There is integration that feeds back into Salesforce from those, right? Now, here at PGI, we're Marketing Cloud, where we run a true customer journey through Marketing Cloud. We track everything from their website visits, their form submissions where they downloaded the content, marketing email that goes back out to them, any kind of campaign management. And we feed all of that data back into Salesforce right on the lead record, so that our sales are able to then engage based off the metrics as well, and so that we can score based off the metrics. So one of the screenshots I took for you is what we call a marketing snapshot on a lead record. And we quickly point out here is that, was it identified as a global MQL standing for Marketing Qualified Lead, and then what was the date it was assigned? And then over on the right, we're able to track through the number of clicks. So we can see this customer has received 9 clicks to click through. They've clicked into 5 links, and they've opened 4 of their emails. And so I just wanted to take a quick second to actually show you this live in a Salesforce system, because I thought this would be nice for you guys to all see. So I do have a lead here, Elaine Kane, and she came in, and I can quickly, I have those marketing attributes I spoke with down here. Those were directly from her lead record. But at the same time, I can even see, for us, we built out those individual results. So I can see what email did she actually open and click through, right? Versus here's one where she opened, but she didn't click the link inside of it. So it gives me information that I can see maybe what's working for her, what's not working for her. And this rolls up to the campaign level as well, which is pretty important for the marketing people, so they can see what campaigns are working and what campaigns aren't working, right? An additional way to kind of help keep track of that. So it's bringing in some of that not firmographic data, but behavioral data, and then being able to create lead scoring based off the behavior of the customer or prospect. Any questions on those? Do we want to stop for Q&A? Jim, is that good with you?
Yeah, let's just roll on through. I know you've got some other stuff, and then we can tackle it at the end.
Okay. So lead scoring, we keep going one step further, was to kind of look at the firmographic side. How can we get additional firmographics in our system? We did find a tool that we liked that does predictive insights. They're based off marketing trends, and they have their own data analysis that's constantly changing, constantly being reevaluated with us. But one of the reasons we really love this tool is because it can be very customized to our industry, and it's 6 cents. And they have a really nice visual component that was able to put on our lead layout here, and you can see they scored this customer in 2 ways: a company score, which is the company information that came in on the lead, and then the contact score, which is the actual individual's personal information, right? So if I were to score, for instance, Cindy, and I have her as the contact, and then her company is the what we call the account, but it's actually a lead record, right? This is from a lead record. So for us, we broke this down into 2 segments with 6 cents. One was to look at what is their market space for collab and UC, and what's their market space for webcast and webinar. As we are a a communications company, those are our two biggest areas that we focus on. Collaboration software is much like here on Zoom, where you're collaborating in small groups, unified communications. And then webcast webinar are very large. Think of like TED Talk Industries, where you've got thousands and thousands of participants that are being webcast, web streamed an event, and can partake in some types of activities. So this is a good example of where we're using more firmographic information about who the company is and who the contact is. And I can see that the company is a strong fit for us. And they're currently, according to the 6 Sense data, they're currently looking at collab and UC products, making decisions. And for webcast webinar, they're purchasing. They've been able to capture that they're at the purchase stage. They're looking at purchasing. Maybe there's an RFP out there. The contact, however, on the right-hand side, it's kind of weak. This person's not known. Either there's not much information out there about them that 6 Sense has. So one of the things that 6 Sense offers is social engagement as well, where you can then look, again, on the lead record. This is directly on the page layout. I can quickly look at the actions and see who are some additional contacts through social media insights that may be a good point and reference to reach out to. And so I've got 3 names there of individuals at that company that have been able to be analyzed by 6 Sense and who 6 Sense thinks I should be able to reach out to get a better conversation going with. So we found this one to be really nice in regards to more firmographic scoring. All right, we'll get into lead assignments. So the first thing we wanted to tackle was our existing customers, right? If a lead comes in from any kind of marketing generated source, how do we identify that they're an existing customer, and how are we treating them? And what we decided to do here was create our own matching Apex trigger. We looked at some of the things that were out there in the market space on the AppExchange, but we felt that this was a better route to take in creating our own. So the first thing is creating an account lookup field, right? And that's where we started with just creating an account lookup field from the lead record and asking sales users, when a lead comes in, make sure you're searching for that company name, make sure it's not already existing in our system, and if it is, map it back to the account lookup field. Our second step from there was creating that automation, creating an Apex trigger to say, how can we automatically identify this lead as tied to a company that's already using our services? And these are the rules that we decided to put into place. Was base it off of, for us, it was the email domain. So if you come in and your email domain matches a website domain, we then start going down the rabbit hole of matching you. If there's multiple matches, we look to see if any of those are prospects versus customer, because we do have duplicates that we allow in our business based off of how our business models are. And then we pull information back. And for us, it wasn't just pulling back one related account if there's one match, but let's say there was 3 matches, we would pull back all 3 matches as well. So we would actually pull back the account number and we populate that in the text field. The goal here was to minimize the work of that sales rep who's doing the lead triage, that they can at least look and say, okay, there was an automatic search done. I don't have to go do a manual search. The search either returned an existing single match or returned 3 or 4 possible matches. I need to look at those before I try to engage and convert this lead into its own account. Okay. So that's something that we did, just pretty straightforward. We found pretty good success in this. Now for us, we did create some criteria of, for instance, regions. If a lead comes in North America, then we compare it against North American accounts. We found that kind of helps. So creating some criteria there around the lead as well. Again, using just firmographic criteria. The next thing we were able to do is we said, okay, once we've identified that it's not an existing account, it's a brand new prospect, how can we round robin that out, right? We don't want to have to waste a sales manager's time and going out there and looking at the lead and keeping up with who they assigned the lead to. We didn't want to have to just put them in a free-for-all queue and create a business rule for people to say, okay, today from 1 to 5, you work the leads, and tomorrow Susan works the leads, or you work the lead if they're this product, or you work the lead if they're that product. We wanted the system to automatically do this. So we first started off with a tool called Lead Assignment 8 Cloud, and it's on the AppExchange. It is completely free, but it's very singular and linear that everything has to go into one queue called unassigned. And once you put everything in that queue, it just fires out in a round robin fashion. We used this tool for about 6 months actually, and it was nice while we used it. So definitely something I wanted to mention because it's there and it's free, but it did not give end users, meaning our marketing managers, our sales managers, the ability to manage it. So if Susan was in there, and let's say Susan's going to be out for the next 2 days, she's sick, the sales manager was having to contact our Salesforce support team to have Susan removed from the list for 2 days. And that kind of became a very big annoyance for both our team and the business managers, right? Trying to keep up with the labor scheduling, basically. And also, it didn't allow us to create native like functionality within, well, what if it's a different product and we want that different product to go to a different group of round robin users, right? Because this one was, again, very linear. Everything goes into one queue and then everything disperses across. So we started looking back in the market space, and we found one we really liked called Round Robin Assignment. It's by John T. Consulting. It's got a really good rating. It's 5.0. It works in Classic and Lightning. It is advertised as free, but a lot of things on the AppExchange are advertised as free, and they're not. So you only get 2 active rules with it, but it is fairly cheap. And so it's cheap by our standards in that you can create up to 50 rules for about $5,000 on an annual subscription, which we thought was pretty nice. We thought that was fairly rated in regards to what else was out there in the market. Our top pick reasons that we love this so far is that it allows for custom field mapping. So think of like anybody who's ever set up a snapshot. You basically can create any custom field on the lead object, can create a custom field on this round robin object so that you can map custom data through, and you can then create round robin rules off the custom fields. You're able to create order-based assignments. So you can say rule 1 fires before rule 2, which is pretty nice. And then you're also able to give end user, or what we call business user, ability. So again, my sales manager can come out there, and when Susan's out for the next 2 days, she can take Susan off the roster. Or if my marketing manager knows that I'm about to introduce a new campaign and she wants that campaign to have a different group of people that are going to work the response, she can go create her own round robin rule based off the campaign. She doesn't have to engage the Salesforce support team on the back end. They can manage the rules on the front end. So I thought we could actually live demo this one for you as well, just again to kind of come off of PowerPoints for a second. So let me close her out there. All right, so here is this tool installed in our Salesforce. We're still a classic Salesforce. We're holding on to that classic as long as we can. We're actually migrating to Lightning this year. The project starts in May, so Salesforce is really excited about that. But it's an AppExchange install, has its own app called Round Robin. The setup is pretty straightforward in that you just set it up, and then on the setup, you're able to identify any kind of custom fields that you want. So again, any lead custom field is on your left-hand side, and then the custom field on the round robin side is on the right-hand side. So you can do field mapping. Again, a lot like lead custom field mapping on the back end of a lead object. When you do field mapping from a lead to a contact or lead to an opportunity, you kind of map where you want the fields to go. And then you create the round robin assignments. And so currently we've got about 20-something assignment rules in our system, and we do have them ordered. So that was important for us as an order process, but also important for us was the ability to call out those custom fields for us. So when we look at a custom fields, for instance, on us is in India as an example, we have kind of 3 different regions in India, almost kind of territory based, but it's based off cities. So we said if the lead comes in and the country is India, and then if the India city contains a certain name, then route it to that group of individuals. So my West India and my North India have different individuals within that group. So you can see I open it up and I can see here's my users here, Angela and Renee. And then over here in North is Janty. Okay. And I can see if any of them are active to start receiving. So this means the user's active, but the assignment's not active. Okay, so maybe their manager took them out, maybe their own PTO, maybe their own leave, whatever that may be. The manager is able to quickly come here and click into these records and change the active assignments. So same thing, just one more in Australia as an example. We have a group in Australia that came and it was purely based off country location, but then we have another one that's based off of the product of interest. So I have a different set of users in Australia who will work my operator assisted and webcast products and those leads versus someone who would work all the other leads. And so you can see my order here is different and that it's ordered at an 8 right here versus the next one, which is ordered at a 10. So it's going to pick up those just like a lead assignment rule would do almost. The difference here is you're applying the difference in group membership. The group membership is how it assigns the ownership out automatically to those people. So those are some of the tools we've been using. We've had a lot of success with. Again, we just thought we'd kind of share them with you. Maybe it's something you guys can go on the AppExchange and install and play with and get some success out of as well. Be more than happy to answer any questions you have.
Cody, this is Trisha. I don't have any questions, but that was very helpful. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sure. Thanks, Trisha.
Yeah, really cool. I guess, you know, folks like TogetherWork and Delta Data, going back to your, when the lead comes in and you're attaching it to the existing accounts to make sure that you know, are pinning them to in the right place. Companies that work in like a known universe, obviously, you know, Cody's company can work with just about anybody that needs that product, but like TogetherWork and Delta Data, you know, with Delta Data, there's only so many hedge funds. Like there's an exact number of hedge funds, and they don't just start up every day. So, you know, with Delta Data, we did this similar thing, a trigger where a lead comes in, we take a look, and if it's, you know, at Capital One Bank,
yeah,
that's the Capital One account. You know, maybe they're a customer, maybe they're not. So we did that a step further rather than using the account address, the website, because Capital One has like 3 or 4 different little mini banks or whatever. We would do all the contacts. Like, hey, do we have a contact that has this other contact that has this email domain? And obviously that works because they don't have Gmail and crazy things like that, you know, doing hedge funds. Probably the same, maybe the same thing for TogetherWork, maybe not, where, you know, if somebody's at, you know, a certain fraternity, you know, national level, you know, they have a certain email address, and you darn sure know, like, the however many national fraternities there are, so you can kind of flag them up front.
Our issue there is we have figured out how to determine which leads are existing clients, but then there's no field math we've figured out to determine if that person is interested in buying an additional product or just needs support. Yep. And that's where we're getting really stuck. So you may already buy product A, and that's great. And we have figured out how to do it. And that was tough because, you know, there's 250 accounts that are all called Pi Kappa Alpha. So it had to do the name, you know, in combination with the school and the university, and we figured that out. But, you know, how do I know if you're having trouble logging in or if you want to buy something else has been probably the biggest issue in sorting leads for us.
Cody, how do you guys deflect those?
We apply different scores. So on our website, depending on where you go to, whether you're coming from a support area and then you go into contact us versus a sales area and you're looking for download of content on, you know, competitive intelligence or something. So kind of applying a different scoring model to where you went on the website before you come in as a lead is one of the ways our marketing team was able to kind of help differentiate that. I think the other thing for us is that we don't right away present all of our leads to sales users. They sit in what we refer to as a baking queue. And so if a person comes to our website and fills out, you know, downloads the content or clicks an ad or something, it'll create a lead in the system, but it sits in that baking queue until they reach a certain score. And at the time that they reach a certain score is when they get assigned to a sales user. But while they're sitting in that baking queue, we do go ahead and engage them with email campaigns. So we'll send them an email campaign to say, we saw you visit the website, are you, and if we know they're an existing customer because that linkage was done, it can be very tailored to say, are you looking for support? Here's a support link. Well, then they click that link. We know they've clicked a link. And so therefore it changes that score because now you've got the capture that they clicked a link for a support site, right? And that could be sending them, for our system, our entire support team is in Salesforce. So we have our knowledge base as well as support chat built into Salesforce. So sometimes that's sending them a link of, hey, if you were needing support, click here to chat with them. If they click there to chat with them, that instantly kills the lead because now they're chatting with support. We know it was a support issue, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm also a big fan of
that business. Yeah.
I'm also a big fan of deflecting, with the user experience on those forms. So, when you're asking them, what they need today, if there's a very clear, I'm having trouble with X, or, I'm trying, whatever, this doesn't work, or, some phraseology like, oh, I'm excited about this product, or by the way, I need help. If you can deflect them in any way, and sometimes it does take a little bit of custom web form development to say, like, basically they select this and they click go, but instead of going, it actually pops them over to the support page on, whatever, the Zendesk ticket or the 1-800 number or whatever, like, oh my gosh, we'd love to help you. Here's the info you need. And basically just not posting them into the CRM if you can get away with it. I suggest that 100% of the time. I'd say like 40% of the time people actually take me up on it because it does require a little bit of custom fiddling. HubSpot Forms doesn't do that out of the box. So you obviously have to kind of start creating a custom form and things like that. But that's usually my recommendation. Good question. Any others? Cody, you mentioned that you guys allow duplicates?
Yeah, a lot of them.
Elaborate, please.
Yeah, it's a known headache, but it's our business model. So we are a very large enterprise, and that we have several acquisition channels that sell certain products. That so an example is PGI at its core is a conferencing company, but then we acquired a small collaboration company called Central Desktop, and it's referred to as iMeet Central, and it competes more in the market space of like OneDrive or SharePoint. So it competes on a collaborative space, not a communication space, not like it's kind of like a Quip, right, from Salesforce. It's a collaboration space for you to go and share files, share tasks, activities, that kind of thing. It doesn't have conferencing built into it. So for us, instead of combining, a lot of our acquisition channels into what we refer to as the primary conferencing company, we've set them up in our Salesforce, but they're ran as a completely separate entity. So they have their own account, and let's say we're doing company, let's say Disney as an example, because my children really want to go there. We're not going to be able to go there this year. So let's say Disney's doing business with us in conferencing. We'll have an account for Disney that is the conferencing account with all the conferencing contacts. And then we'll have a different Disney account that's for the Central Desktop space and for all of their contacts. They're not connected in any way whatsoever. We use different record types to help identify, but you could have the same firmographic information all the way down. On flip side of that, we are also a reseller. So we resell other products, and we have a lot of large telco vendors that resell our products. So if Disney starts using, let's say, products from someone who resells us, we will then also have a Disney for them. And that will be listed as a partner account with a sub-agent and a master agent listed associated to them. But now you have 3 Disneys in the system. And we separate all of those duplicates using record types, using account type attributes, channels. We have sales channels. So, but it's a commonality, I think, within any communications company that I've been involved in to support a duplicate model, because the way that the company kind of allows the various businesses to operate separately from one another.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're probably right. That is the case with like multi-division, multinational type companies. I was just thinking it's kind of like parent accounts. It's something where the size of the organization sort of dictates whether or not you would do that. I think on the smaller scale, you would try to clamp down on that pretty hard. So if you're B2C, you would really clamp down on that. It's basically like one email address, one credit card number, that is it. But yeah, on the enterprise, that makes more sense. Cool. Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, Cody, this is Alan, man. I'm curious about your experience with Marketing Hub, and specifically sort of along the lines of duplicates, but I see some people traditionally use what I call the three-step qualification model, which if you're using, Pardot or HubSpot, they've got their own contact database. Sometimes it's called prospects or whatever it is. Then you've got the lead database in Salesforce, and then you've got the contact database in Salesforce. So you almost take someone through 3 steps, right? If they come through your marketing automation database, then get promoted to a Salesforce lead, then get promoted to a Salesforce contact. What's been are you using that model on the Marketing Cloud? Does it have something that's roughly analogous to Pardot prospects that you're using to bring them into Salesforce leads?
Yeah, we do. However, I have not had the experience with working with that as much. When we purchased Salesforce Marketing Cloud, our marketing operations team has been able to control that. So we've not had to be as involved on that front from the Marketing Hub side inside of Salesforce Marketing Cloud. We handle any integrations directly to our Salesforce with them, and doing the API connectors and the licensing. But the actual customer journeys itself, the Marketing Hubs and the settings that they have there on how it pulls back, because I know it's not pulling all of our leads back, nor all of our contacts. I know it's only doing a partial pull. Same kind of thing with Pardot when we were using it before. We didn't do all of it. It was a partial because you hit limits there, right, based off of how much you purchase of the kind of license. And so I haven't had as much exposure to that, Alan.
Gotcha. Okay.
I do know that team has something in place like that. And I'd be more than happy if maybe in a future meeting, we can definitely invite one of my marketing ops guys to get on and talk about how they're using Salesforce Marketing Cloud, if that's ever an interest.
Yeah, it might be interesting. Do you know if they, it sounds like they don't pass every single lead over to Salesforce leads then. Have they got a different scoring criteria or a threshold that they have to meet before they pass it into Salesforce? Do you know that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they have a different threshold, and I think it's a pretty low threshold, though.
Right.
From what we've seen on our stuff. They have a threshold, and then it gets passed into Salesforce. And in Salesforce, we keep it in our baking queue before we actually ever present it to sales. So we know that they're not sending all of it, but what they are sending still sits in that kind of sideline. And the Salesforce marketing integration is constantly updating it. So if a person comes to the website today and just visits and clicks around as an example, but doesn't submit anything, it creates a Salesforce marketing lead where it sits, but may not push it to Salesforce until an email campaign is sent and then they engage. Then it creates the lead at Salesforce. Then it becomes a marketing qualified lead, but it may still not be at a score yet where we want to engage sales with it. So it is a multi-tiered approach, if you will, where things do sit there before they always come into Salesforce.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks, man. That helps a lot.
Cody, what would you or anybody recommend how we determine how long our marketing leads should bake before we pull them out of the oven for sales. You know, and it's probably different for every company, but how did you all determine that 3 clicks each worth 2 points is 6 points total, and 6 isn't enough, but 10 is? Did you do testing? How do you know?
That's a really good question that I think we still try to find the line on every day. I think, and which was a big reason that we wanted tools like these, where the end users, that being the marketing managers, could constantly scale that, right? Because on a non-COVID society, you know, our scores will probably be a lot higher than where they are now, because we have so much traffic coming through our websites that we've had to change the scoring algorithms to be able to assess who is truly a lead versus who's just someone on the website looking, right? Seeing who competitors are from Zoom or from something else. You know, so yeah, I think it's something that you really have to do an analysis on with your team, and it's a trial and error on seeing, you know, looking at your past leads, looking at what was successful, what was not successful from the past leads, and then walking away from that knowing that you have some kind of tools in place that can constantly be readjusted without having to go back to ground zero, right? Mm-hmm. I think, you know, that was the intent that we had, and I think that would be the intent of any kind of good sales management, marketing management, is to be able to have that re-engagement as needed. I don't know, Jim, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. But truthfully, Cody, they still get bad leads, right? Like, you know, people who are in the front lines, down in the trenches, they get a hot lead from the system, and it's not going to work like immediately. So even like the best of the best companies still have that. And that's one thing that some of my clients have sort of struggled to wrap their heads around. Like, why did this lead come in? I got a lead that the last name was junk. You know, why did I get this? Like, I get it. It happens. Like, it happens. Amazon and Facebook and Salesforce have that same problem. Like, I probably every other month I get a call from a Salesforce lead development rep. And he's like, hey, you know, I saw that you signed up for a trial org, and I just wanted to educate you about the value of Salesforce. And I'm like, dude, I'm a partner. And then immediately they just gracefully end the call. They're like, okay, well, good talking to you, Jim. Have a nice day. Click. You know, so that's the business side of that equation is, you know, if you give somebody 10 leads, a number of them are going to be bad no matter how you bake them or scored them or whatever. You know, they're a bank, you know, they went bankrupt like right as you picked up the phone or something. So, you know, I wouldn't take it personally if something slips through the cracks. You know, obviously Cody's organization has a huge lead volume going, but there are other companies that don't, especially when they're in, like you were saying, in the down season and stuff like that. So I would err on the sides of getting those hopefully hot or warm leads into somebody's hot little hands as soon as possible. You know, I err on that side actually, because I've worked with some clients that are very, very aggressive about, you know, gobbling at the leads. But obviously, you know, once you cross a threshold of capacity, that's when you start implementing these sort of stage gates.
One of the things, and to echo on that, Addison, one of the things we're currently playing with are Einstein bots as well. So, you know, we already engage the person if they come to our website or click a form or anything. We already engage them with email marketing content with links that can download. But one of the things that we've currently been playing out with that you guys could think of as well, again, and it goes back to kind of the conversation we were having earlier, how to engage the person before they even come in to be a lead, is with a bot. Because with a bot, if you guys have tried that yet, or I don't know if you're using live chat, but you can actually create kind of a flow process that captures some more information from them. It can capture whether they're interested in sales or service, and then lead them right down the path. It can even do some pre-sales chatting for you, like, oh, you're interested in this product? Well, these are the 4 things we have. Which one are you most interested in? And then they click it. So you get a little bit more, again, of that behavioral response that create a better behavioral score to be able to say, okay, this person's really interested, or versus a person who started maybe having a conversation with a bot and then just abandoned it, right? Those would be 2 different kind of scores on a lead. They both could create a lead, as Jim was mentioning, but you would work one before the other, right? Putting the priority on it. So that's where we're going next. So maybe in 3 months, Jim, I can have a bot review for you guys.
That would be really cool, because a lot of lead development reps especially follow kind of a known script, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Ask them about this, ask them about that, So cool. Yeah, I would love to circle up on that. That is kind of the next generation of that. Support already does a lot of that stuff. You see everybody's got a support chatbot, but very rarely do you see the sales chatbot yet. So, well, look, I know we're at our time. I don't want to keep anybody hostage, so feel free to drop off at any moment. I can hang around. I've got a few minutes, and if anybody has any more questions or just wants to talk, it's not like you're going anywhere. But by all means, thank you for coming. I'm going to try to save the recording of this and stick it on the page or something. We'll figure it out. But again, thanks for coming. And if you need to go, feel free. If not,